United at McDiarmid Park when they fell behind to St Johnstone after only 5 minutes. Paul Hartley set up teenage fullback David McClune, and his effort deflected off Jason DeVos on its way into the net. Meanwhile at Love Street, St Mirren also went a goal down after Derek Young started and finished the move that gave Aberdeen a 14th minute lead. A composed finish this from Young, and the worst possible start for St Mirren. Back to Perth, and a great opportunity for Dundee United to get back on level terms after Charlie Miller was brought down by Darren Dodds. Miller took the penalty, but pulled his shot wide. And there was worse to come for United when they fell 2 goals behind 5 minutes before the break. Paul Hartley got the credit and a yellow card for over-celebrating. On closer inspection, the final touch belonged to the unfortunate Jim Laughlin. At just about the same time at Love Street, St Mirren got themselves back into the game. Mark Yardley's header wasn't dealt with properly by Jamie McAllister, and Scott Walker's reactions were spot on. Yardley's presence posed the initial threat, and Walker made the Aberdeen defence pay. And on the stroke of half-time, St Mirren turned the game on its head. Mark Yardley and Stephen McPhee combined down the left, and despite Ryan Essendon's best efforts, the ball fell nicely for Stephen McGarry. So, 2-1 to St Mirren at half-time, and suddenly there was a ray of hope in Paisley. In Perth, the second half started with a terrible tackle by St Johnstone's Paul Hartley on United's Charlie Miller. Hartley in high enough here to earn a second yellow and a red from referee Alan Freeland. Then, with 65 minutes gone, United got the break they'd been looking for. Derek Lilley's cross was misjudged by Alan Main, and it fell perfectly for Charlie Miller. This a sweet moment for the midfielder as he made up for his earlier penalty miss. Into the final 10 minutes, and United struck again through Craig Easton. Miller was the provider this time as Easton arrived unmarked to score. There was a final twist with just 2 minutes to go, and again St Johnstone were guilty of not dealing with a cross ball. Derek Lilley with the goal that guaranteed Premier League survival for Dundee United. And a moment to savour for Alex Smith. There was no further scoring at Love Street, but Aberdeen finished the game with 10 men when defender Thomas Solberg was sent off. A straight red for the Dane for his foul on Michael Renform. And on this evidence, referee Kenny Clark had little option. By full time, the news had clearly filtered through from Perth. St Mirren had done all they could, but it wasn't enough. Contrast that to the scenes at McDiarmid Park, where a relieved and delighted Dundee United support showed their appreciation. Outside the ground, the fans were saluted by manager Alex Smith.
Thanks, lads. Thanks very much for the support you've given the team the last 6 months. It done the whole thing for the club. It wasn't us, it wasn't the players, it was you guys who came and supported us. It's brilliant. You've been behind us for months now, and I'm just glad that we've managed to reward you and give Dundee United the status that they deserve. And I hope, and I say this way, I hope we never ever see the club in this situation again, that we don't give you that kind of season that we've given you.
This was the moment Derek Lilley could start to enjoy playing for Dundee United. The former Morton and Leeds United striker was rescued by Alex Smith from an unsuccessful spell at Oxford. And since arriving at Tannadice, the hard-working Lilley has experienced all the horrors that go with a relegation battle.
Emotionally and mentally it's been very draining, you know, but it's been a big sigh of relief after the game, you know. To go 2-0 down at half time was a major blow for us, but we showed a lot of character, fought back, and you know what a day it has been for the fans.
Can you describe how draining that particular match was for the players?
I think the pressure itself of the game, you know, before it we knew what we had to do. We get the 3 points and we're safe, you know, basically. You know, it's got a lot of pressure on it, there's a lot of demands, you know, a lot of expectations from the fans. But when the game went on, you know, we went 1-0, 2-0, you're just thinking it's not going to be our day, you know, it's going to go right down to the wire. But we came good in the end, we showed a lot of grit and determination, and we got a few breaks, and that always helps.
When you get a release of pressure, as you did on Saturday with that win, can you say how it affects you, you know, when you're here at home? I mean, does it make your family life easier? I
think so. I mean, my wife, I think she's been feeling the pressure as well, you know, because you're coming home every day after training, you know, you're constantly talking about the battle that's going on, and the week in, week out you're looking at results, you know, and we were getting our nose in front, and then we had a slip up against St Mirren, and then obviously that brought us back into it again. But you know, the pressure has been great. Alex Smith has shielded a lot from the players, but it does take its toll on you. But fortunately enough, you know, things have went our way, so it's a big sigh of relief.
At this time of year we speak a lot about teams battling to maintain their Premier status, but what would it have meant to United had the club lost its Premier status and dropped down? Oh,
it'd have been a great loss for Dundee the City. I think the two clubs are always expected to be in the Premier League, you know, and obviously for the Dundee fans it'd have been one up for them, you know, the other club being ourselves being relegated, you know. The club itself financially had been a tremendous loss for the club, you know, and not to play in the big grounds every week, not have the big games, it'd have been terrible.
When you signed for the club, was it a risk? I mean, was it tied into your contract that your wages might have been reduced or your conditions changed if you'd been dropped to Division 1?
Yeah, I mean, there was conditions when I signed, you know, regarding the financial side. That, you know, obviously the first division was looming, but you know, that was a gamble I was more than willing to take because I had belief in the club, I had belief in the gaffer. I'd seen the club was slowly starting to go in the right direction, you know, and I just wanted to be part of it.
Oxford must have been awful for you to go to a club anchored at the bottom of the Premier League as United very much was at that time. Was it in any way a difficult decision to come back home?
No, I think for the family's point of view, it was nice to come back to Scotland, to come home. I'd been away for nearly 4 years, and obviously being at Oxford, you're not exactly in the limelight. You know, you're playing a lot of hard games week in, week out. You know, and people don't realise how difficult it is there. But I wasn't really enjoying my football there, and I was really looking for an opportunity to come back home, and I was more than happy to grab the chance that I got.
I guess it wasn't the most enjoyable season for you, I mean, even from the point of view that things went wrong on a family holiday.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the first season I'd been at Oxford, we just avoided relegation, and I went to Florida on holiday with my wife and my 2 kids, you know, and went to Disneyland, and unfortunately for us we get held up at gunpoint in our hotel room. You know, the room get ransacked, and to be perfectly honest, you know, that was one of the last straws for us wanting to get back up to Scotland. You know, it was a nightmare scenario for anybody to be in. You know, so the season when I started back at Oxford, it was really difficult for the family and for myself. You know, it was mentally, it was a massive strain on me, knowing my family was unsettled, and I just wanted to get back home.
In the end, it was Alex Smith who took you to Dundee United. I know you've not been there for the whole season, but can you say what Alex Smith has done to turn the club around?
Yeah, I think Alex's approach to the whole game, you know, he's a relaxed approach, and I think that's helped the players because he's brought a couple of young players in, like Paul Gallagher and Jamie McConney, you know, and like myself and Charlie, Jim Laughlin and Jamie Fulton, they brought in some experienced players. So I think he's got a good blend, and things have worked for him.
Now Alex is operating without a contract at the moment. Now, at a time when the future ownership of the club is uncertain, is that a concern to the dressing room?
I think it is. I definitely think it is. You know, the manager's had a great season. You know, he's done a Houdini act. He's pulled us right out of it. We're 10 points behind St Mirren, I believe, now round about November time. So to get Premier League status for next year has been a great achievement itself, and I think the board have got to obviously tie Alex up on a longer deal.
after the final round of matches on Sunday, it may well be that United have only beaten St Mirren by goal difference. So does that tell you there's still a lot of work to be done next season, or will it be easier if you're starting from a level pegging?
Yeah, I think it'll be like a blank canvas for us, you know, start again. You know, obviously the goal difference has been like an extra point for us this year, and it's given us a great cushion. You know, knowing you had the 14 or 15 goals extra. So it will come down to that maybe on the final day. If we win more game, then fair enough, we're up on points. But if it comes to the goal difference, it does still show that we're a long way from being a good team, you know. But we have got a lot of good players, and hopefully next year, as I say, you know, we can start off on a better footing at the start of the season, pick up a few points and get a higher position.